Hello, everyone, and my travelling is done, at least for the time being, anyway. What a great time. What a fantastic time I've had going to all these brilliant places. But the world does not stand still, and I've considered my direction of thought on where this YouTube channel is going to go. And it's gone in a variety of different directions. Generally speaking, my train of thought, it always goes in some form of social commentary and reflection upon my own experience. Then, based on the sort of content I enjoy watching myself, I love social commentary and I love listening to people's reflections on various walks of life. I've considered asking AI to write scripts, but for me, I just didn't want to sound too much like a robot, and I did actually try and ask the AI to write a couple of scripts to see how it went. It didn't look good to me. I didn't feel it. And I just thought there's no way that I could possibly make a channel just by getting AI to write the script. So if I do any writing, it will all be myself. It will all be my own work. The research will be my own. I've slightly rebranded. So I changed my name. I was the Office Man Escapee because I was escaping the office in my travels. But now I am the System Escapee. And I see this as a place for everyone to be an escapee and not just myself. Let's begin then with my first analysis, my first real part of social commentary, and it comes from my own reflection. It is all me because I have been travelling and I have experienced the world. I think it's a fair point to start my analysis, and in the future I will be moving on to other walks of life to commentate on as well, and hopefully get out in the real world. So having been away for 3 months and 1 week, I've visited 5 countries. In those 5 countries, I've visited 17 different cities. And what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to rank my favourites and my least favourites and give a small little thought about why that is. And it won't include everything. It won't include every single detail, but it's going to include some of the key points. Right, so in 5th place, I have put Vietnam at the bottom of my list. And gosh, I mean, this may not sit well with a lot of people. And I'm going to start with some positives because I absolutely loved Da Nang. And it was one of my favourite cities I've visited on this journey. The hotel I stayed at was called RHM Luxury Hotel and Suite, where I booked a triple room due to the offer at the time. Had lots of space, and it turned out to give me the most incredible view of the city, including the Dragon Bridge. The mountains in the distance were superb, and the general bustling life of the city I could just watch forever without even leaving my room. I could have relaxed on the beach in Da Nang every single day. The prices were so cheap. The food was cheap. It was easy to get around. There's a cool stuff to do in Da Nang. Loads of cool stuff to do. You can rent a bike, go on a bike ride. You can visit the Bana Hills, which are not too far away. There's also cities very close by, like Hue, a short train journey, and Hoi An, a very quick taxi ride. But it is at the bottom of my list. And it is at the bottom because firstly, Hanoi has a very, very bad pollution issue, and all you need to do is Google that yourself and you will find out that it's the most polluted city in the world, something I did not realise until I actually got there. Not only was it horribly polluted, but it happened to rain an awful lot. And it did remind me a bit like England in that sense. But that's not such a huge problem. The rain I can deal with. I visited a place called Westlake, one of the ugliest lakes I've ever been to, with the backdrop of severe pollution. There was rubbish in the lake and dead fish everywhere. I've seen people fishing in that lake, and most likely that fish goes to restaurants. And in these places, people have to make a living. I don't begrudge them that. But I certainly wouldn't want to eat that fish. Not as a tourist. Call me stupid, but I also got scammed by the donut lady. I was overcharged way too much within the first hour of me getting to my hotel. The fake Grab taxis tried to get me and almost did, but I managed to stay clear. And this was just one city, my first city. So my very first view of Vietnam was Hanoi. And I wasn't hugely impressed. I was pickpocketed in Nha Trang whilst walking about at night by myself. Not a good idea, but these things happen. I witnessed many of these shoe shiners, which I didn't have a scamming. No one scammed me personally from the shoe shiners. That's one thing that I avoided. But I did witness them like going around and asking for tourists, and trying to shoe shine. But it's a reputation. They have a reputation of overcharging massively and getting angry. All you need to do is Google that one as well. They did pester me a lot, and I did just tell them to clear off. Because after my first scammings, I was very aware that it was quite common at this point. Furthermore, the moped situation, I personally find it concerning. I didn't go near a moped in Vietnam myself. Not on it anyway. You can't help but walk by. I saw 2 accidents. Not massive ones, they just fell off, a couple of bruises, couple of scrapes, and they were fine. On my flight to Japan, I saw a couple who were terribly banged up, however, and I did feel very sorry for them. They were walking only how I could describe as penguins with broken bones and bruised bodies, and it didn't look good at all. At least you can say that they did walk still. Unlike a few people who do go out there and a few Vietnamese people who do crash. It is dangerous, but a lot of people manage to do it without getting injured. So it's really one of them things you need to weigh up whether you think it's worth it, and I personally do not think so. What's the likeliness of me returning to Da Nang? I'm not sure. I love Da Nang so much. Vietnam as a country, that's the only place I would like to return. Number 4 on my list is Milan. So I flew from Milan from Hong Kong. And I only spent a little bit of time there. I wasn't there a huge, long time. But a good 5 days, I believe it was. So, Milan, Italy, 4th on my list. It was a bit of a toss-up between 4 and 3, actually, but Milan sneaked lower. Due to extortionate prices, it is so expensive. There's a lack of gluten-free food, which I personally always try and avoid gluten, which is difficult. But I found it so difficult in Milan. So many smokers, and I've been to European cities. It does shock me, actually, coming from England, how prevalent smoking is in some of these countries. It's the same for Hanoi in particular. So many smokers. And the price of smoking in England is so expensive, and a lot of people are put off by that, and I think that is actually a really good thing. Smoking's not ideal, and it's an addiction at the end of the day, and I think people would be better off without that. There's a lot of good things. I'm not putting it at number 4 because I hate Milan. I actually liked it in a lot of ways. The parks were great to relax in. Chinatown was a great place to get a bite to eat. The general architecture is stunning absolutely everywhere, from the train station to the city centre to the outskirts to the football stadium. And they've got a great amount of football teams there if you can grab a ticket, which unfortunately I wasn't able to do. But there's always another time, and there's plenty of football in England, so I wasn't too disappointed with that. Likeliness of me returning to Milan, I think it's very unlikely at this point. It's way too expensive, and I need to go to places, where it's a bit easier for dietary issues. And I think, to be honest, I'm going to change my travel plans in the future and get a place where there's a kitchen, because it would suit myself better. So I don't want to knock it too much for that. It was still a good place. Next one is number 3, and on the list it is Japan. I loved a lot of Japan. I loved it. It gets middle of my group of countries, just because my 1 and 2 were my favourites. So my main problem with Japan is that I was regularly in tourist hotspots that were very overcrowded during the cherry blossom season, and that's my own fault. I chose to go there. Having spent 16 days there, I loved a lot of them, especially walking around the electric town in Tokyo and going to Universal Studios in Osaka. That was just so much fun. And feel free to check out my videos. I did get food poisoning in Osaka. It was the only place on my whole trip that I got proper serious food poisoning, where I was vomiting head in the toilet. And also, the other end as well. These things happened. I got it from a famous area in Osaka where all those street foods are, and you get lots of fresh fish and crab and oysters and beef. But I got my beef from the fridges, and I think it had been like sitting in the fridge all day. It was like semi-cooked. It was pink, and there was something not good. It was a bad bug, and it took me a couple of days to get over that. So that put me on a bit of a downer in Osaka. But that can happen almost anywhere. And I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. Out of all the places I went, I was not expecting it in Osaka. I thought there was a limited amount of comfortable places to sit in public areas, actually, which I thought was, it could really do with an improvement. Like where there are in certain places, there's a lot of places, especially in these huge overcrowded tourist areas, where there's just a lack of comfortable, relaxing seats, I'd say. It's a bit subjective, and maybe due to the places that I was travelling. The overcrowding as well in these tourist spots meant that you were often standing in public transport, which, I'm a young man, I'm okay with that. But if you're going for an hour train somewhere and there's not a lot of places to sit, it can be a bit tough if you're struggling and you're tired. I'd always push through, and it was fun. But I don't want to knock Japan too badly. I did love it. It was great fun. Go check out the videos. And the final 2. And in second place, we have got Hong Kong, China. And I absolutely adored Hong Kong. The stunning skyscrapers, the boat cruise of the Symphony of Lights. Goose to eat on every corner. I'm a huge fan of that goose. It was so delicious. The trams were super cheap and fun to get around. Easy transport. You've got the metro, you've got buses, everything you need. There's so many things to love, and the list keeps going on. But I would recommend that anyone goes for a holiday there. Can be a bit expensive, and I'd certainly say that the locals aren't overly happy with rent prices there. You can look into that yourself, but if you save your money, I'd definitely recommend it. But that leaves the winner. And if you've seen, you already know. It's Thailand. It is Thailand, home to the most visited city in the world, Bangkok. And for good reason. It has the buzz of excitement in the air. Scorching weather. Some of the best nightlife in the world. With a live in the moment kind of vibe. I absolutely loved Thailand so much. And it's not the first time I've been there. I have been there already, but I returned. And I spent a good month there and I absolutely loved it. So boat trips down the river, fantastic food, shopping malls like the Icon Siam, and fantastic scenes and skyscrapers. Chiang Mai was such a great place as well. For day trips and meeting people, one of the best places I went to. Whether it was walking with elephants, which you need to be careful when you're doing that, by the way, because they can sneak up. They can sneak up behind you and you don't realise there's an elephant behind you, like what I did. And zip lining, fantastically fun, really super fun. Going on the hikes around the local area in Chiang Mai. Got to talk to loads of random people, have great discussions and meet some locals. And chill in some of their villages, which was really fun. And they've got some great views. Not to mention the lovely heat, the stunning weather. We also swam in some waterfalls. We did see a snake in one of the waterfalls, actually. So you do have to be careful when you are travelling to these places. But I was fine, and most people are. Just look out for yourself. Ask anyone if they've been to Thailand if they want to return, and the most likely answer would be yes, like it is for me. That's going to be all. That is it for my analysis of my travels. Such a great time, and I'm going to leave you there. If you have watched this, thank you very much. It is only the beginning. I'm going to keep going with this. And we're going to hopefully get some good episodes in the future. Right, take care. Enjoy the escape. Goodbye.